Good morning. I'm out in the gazebo this morning to tell you about a new gadget I've been playing with. This is the E600 smartwatch by Kakasi. Now, why would I want to play with a cheap Chinese watch as a potential replacement to my very nice, reliable, and by the way, expensive Apple Watch Series 6? Well, because we heard about these watches that are on the market these days that can do non-invasive glucose monitoring. And since Rose is type 2 diabetic and I am pre-diabetic myself, this seems like a really nice thing if it works. So I did a lot of research and I found out that it kind of sort of works. Some people say it's great, other people say it's a complete scam. So I decided to order one of the watches and wear it for a couple of weeks and find out about it. Just for reference, I'd like to point out that I am a medical technologist with about 38 years experience. So when I look at these things, I perhaps have a little bit better idea than a lot of people, whether or not things are working as they should. And I'd also like to say up front that this glucose monitoring technology on these watches is not FDA approved, and I personally don't think it's ready for prime time yet. It can be useful if you are careful how you use it, but if you are a diabetic and you depend on accurate blood sugar measurements for your insulin doses, then I would not rely on this watch. However, it can give you some interesting insights if you can use it properly. This is the watch as it's listed on Amazon, and you can see it's going through all the features and pictures there, all of which we'll go through in some detail later in this video. It costs around $64, as you can see, and there are cheaper ones that claim to do the same thing. I picked this one because it seemed to possibly be of a little bit better quality, a little bit of a cut above the $40 ones. So I really wanted to give this a chance because if it works, it'd be great for us. So now let's take a tour of the watch itself. What you're looking at now is a watch face that I custom designed for it, and I'll get into that later. You see that the battery life is about 2/3, and I display the date and time, and the little chain link there is the Bluetooth status. Let me see if I can get in. Okay, this is the pedometer. It measures your steps, and you can set in the app, you can set the steps to whatever goal you like, and it seems to be pretty accurate to me. Okay, this measures heart rate, and you can set that to constantly monitor in real time. And right now my heart rate is a little bit up because I've gotten up and I've set up the tripod and all that stuff, but it does, I think, an accurate job of your heart rate, and it does record the last a little bit for the day. You can see there at the bottom. Okay, this is your blood pressure. Now we're going to measure my blood pressure here. This is not blood pressure like you get from a real blood pressure cuff. Basically what it does is calculate a value. It's based on your heartbeat. It knows when you have a heartbeat, and then it measures the expansion and contraction of the capillaries with the laser beams under your skin, and the difference in time applied to an algorithm can give you a blood pressure. And you see there, mine's 144/84 right now, and that's actually pretty close to what I usually run. Okay, I'm not sure what this one does. If you start it, It just sits there and says it's measuring, and it continues on and on. I can't find anything about it in the books. What I suspect is that it goes with the auxiliary package that you can order for this, which includes a little belt and some sticky pads and things like that. And you can wear this to measure your EKG continuously for a period of time, and that might be useful for some medical applications. I don't know that that's what it's for, but I'm guessing. The next app is your sleep app. If you wear the watch to bed, it will measure your sleep. It will give you your REM sleep, your light sleep, your deep sleep, and show it broken down into a pattern, which it reports to the app, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. It will also record your heartbeat, your heart rate variations, and your blood oxygen level while you sleep. So this could be a useful tool. And lastly, it will give you the current weather if you have that set up in the app. And you see there it says 13 degrees centigrade. I've tried to switch that to Fahrenheit a lot, but it always wants to go back to centigrade for some reason. Now, to go back to the watch face, you just touch the bottom and there it is. If you swipe the other way, you'll see a listing for all the apps that we've already been through, plus the workouts. If you click on the workouts, you have a whole lot of workouts you can choose from, and you can click on one of those and it'll start timing you. Basically what it does when you pick a workout app, it times the amount of time you're doing that activity, or you say you're doing that activity, and it also measures your heart rate while you're doing that activity, so that it can give you some idea of how well the exercise is working for you. So the app is called H-Band, and it's free in the Apple App Store, and I expect there's one for the Android phones too. There it is on my phone. You open it up, and the top of the desktop there, you see your steps. I haven't done very much today because, well, it's Saturday morning and I'm not feeling well. Now, I can scroll down and you can see all the different parameters that the watch measures, and it's recorded there. And you can go back several days. And each parameter has more detail to it. This shows the number of steps I've taken hour by hour, and the energy, the activity I was using while I was taking those steps. The next app down is the sleep app. And if you go into more detail there, you can see it breaks it down into deep sleep, light sleep, REM sleep, and when you're actually awake. It gives you a sleep score. I get a 3-star out of 5. I didn't do very good last night because I have a cold and I didn't sleep well at all. So this is probably pretty accurate for me. Down at the bottom, it gives you some more details. And you can open it up and it tells me my quality's not so good. And it gives me some suggestions for improving my sleep quality. Of course, I know why I didn't sleep well last night. The next is my heart rate. And you go into more detail there. It breaks it down. It shows you the amount of activity, the calories you were burning while correlated with your heart rate. And and it shows the levels you were at, your heart rate was at, and that's probably useful when you're doing exercise. You can see if you get up in the fat burning or the aerobic areas on there. And it shows you your heart rate broken down every 5 minutes and exactly what you were recorded doing during that time. And you can set a heart rate alarm. I got mine set at 120. If it goes above 120, the alarm will go off. The next is blood pressure. And it records the blood pressure every 5 minutes. And you can see that mine stays fairly steady. It goes up and down some with activities that's going on. Next is the oxygen saturation. Mine is at 98%, and more detail there says that it's normal. It says that there's no apnea events. My respiration is around 15, which is, mine is always around 15. It says it's a little bit low, but that doesn't seem to be a problem since I'm well oxygenated. And it can give you further information if you want it. The next is heart rate variability, and it gives you a lot of these nifty Lorentz diagrams. There's mine, and then there's examples below that I can compare it to. I don't really look at those very much. I scroll down to these 4 parameters here, and I get 5 stars for everything, which basically tells me my heart is performing well. I'm in good shape, which is great because 6 years ago I had a quadruple bypass, so this is interesting to me. Now we get to the EKG. So here's how we're going to do an EKG. You go into the EKG and you click Start Test, and then down at the bottom you click the right arrow. It tells you to sit up straight and be still. So you click the arrow and you put your fingers on either side of the contacts on the watch, as you're going to see in the picture inset. It takes it a few seconds to settle down, and then it starts recording. I'm not a cardiologist and I'm not an EKG technician, but this looks pretty authentic to me. Okay, now it's done. It wants to know if I want to save it. Yes, I do. So I save it. And then we can go down here and look at more information about it. And it tells me my heart rate and some other things. And it tells me that it's normal sinus rhythm with no abnormal phenomenon, which I'm really happy about that. Another nice feature is I can go into this more detail area and I get a lot more technical information about it. And the whole printout. The nice thing is that I can also share it with people, like maybe my cardiologist. So that would be useful in some circumstances. I can certainly see that. Okay, now we get down to temperature. And again, it takes it every 5 minutes and keeps a running graph of it. Or you can look at your actual skin temperature, or you can look at the body temperature it calculates from that. And you can see that mine is pretty much around normal all the time, so I'm not spiking the fever. Now we get to the blood glucose, and this actually looks pretty good. It starts out around 130 or so and dips down while I'm sleeping down to a low point, which is normal when you're sleeping, and then you see where it starts to rise late in the night, around 6 a.m. or so. That's normal too, where it rises and plateaus some. Then it reaches the point where it starts a logarithmic climb. That's after my breakfast. So that looks pretty accurate. But actually, as I said, it's about 20 points biased. On the next section here is exercises. Here you can actually use your phone, not the watch, and start an exercise and have GPS follow you. You can start a walk or a run and use the GPS to cover your distance. Here is the exercises that you can record with your watch. I use the stationary bike every morning, except yesterday morning I was sick, but here's an example. It breaks down the calories you're burning, your heart rate, and the amount of exercise you're getting. So that's pretty helpful, I guess. I use it, and mine usually looks about the same every morning. Okay, here you can set up your account and the different parameters for the app. There is where I'm changing it back to Fahrenheit again. Okay. Now back here, I wanted to show you one more thing where it says more. You can click on that and you can get the settings for your watch. You can go through and set parameters on your watch that you'd like it to use. And you can go into the individual apps that are on your watch. For instance, if you want to take your temperature or whatever straight from the phone, you can do that. Now the watch can also be set to pull in notices you get on your phone, like text messages. It can notify you when a phone call is coming in, but you can't talk on it. You can get notified of email, and if you have other apps that are sending you notifications, you can set it up to get notifications from them also on your watch. I have all that turned off because the notifications work, and they work well, but I find that the text and the notifications is so small, it's very difficult to read. And also, they tend to come through and interfere with something else I'm doing on the watch at sometimes. So I turn it off. It does have that capability if you want to use it. All in all, I like the watch, and I think I'm going to keep using it. The battery life is good. As long as you understand that some of the things it's measuring are maybe helpful for informational purposes, but not necessarily for medical diagnosis. As long as you keep that in mind and understand how it works, you should be pretty good. So I think I'm going to keep using this watch for a while.